Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures, Daily Dose of Nature. I'm your host, Sunny Vanderstar. Today's topic is animals and ecosystems of NatHab's Grand India Wildlife Adventure. And it will be presented by our fabulous NatHab Expedition Leader, Arpita Dutta. Arpita, thank you so much for presenting for us today about one of your greatest passions, India. Can't wait for you to take us away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sunny, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. It's been always a pleasure, and I keep on waiting that when is the next time I would be like seeing you, or though I can't see you, but at the feel of presence, the existence make me feel very, very happy. So today for last, because the last season or the upcoming season looks promising, and I mean regarding the forest and stuff, and I definitely feel the enthusiasm of the viewers and our guests who sign up for all the trips, no matter where it is happening. But it makes a lot of difference, like when you ask a lot of questions, when your enthusiasm falls into the same passion where we are standing on. So while we were thinking, I mean, especially when I was thinking or doing the trips, most of the time, like when you fly from that part of the world to this area, first thing is that there is jet lag, and it takes a little time for you all to get accustomed with the landscape, with the weather, and of course the surroundings. And when we first visit our national parks, it takes a little time to adjust with that. Your eyes, especially your eyes and your brain, takes a little time to adjust that what to look for. And this presentation is mostly focused on the landscapes and the animals of those national parks, and where exactly you can look out to have a better sighting, because more the eyes, the better sighting. So this is for our help, for the expedition leaders, so that all the eyes can get involved and do all the spotting. So the first thing, with the Grand India Wildlife Adventure, we specially cover the central India, here where my cursor is, and then we fly to the northeastern part of India. So the central India is the Madhya Pradesh. That's the state where our two national parks we cover, which is Bandhavgarh National Park and Kanha National Park. These are the two national parks we cover. And then we fly to northeastern part of India, which is Assam, and for Kaziranga National Park. So these are the three main and among the most prominent and important national parks we have in India. And they are and not only like important, but they are very old national parks, like very initial stage when all these national parks and tiger projects have been starting. These national parks have been like from that time. And while we are doing Grand India Wildlife, it's not only the abundance of the wildlife, but also we come across the indigenous people who have been living in these areas for for even we don't know. I mean, it's like immemorial time. So yeah, and so these areas are mostly like Bandhavgarh, which has the hilly terrain and the mixed deciduous forest. The Kanha has the highland and the deciduous forest, which is dominated by the sal trees. Sal is a tree. I'll just explain more on a go. And then the Kaziranga, which is a huge river basin, one of the largest river, the longest river, which is Brahmaputra, and it's presented in that valley of that area. And also Kaziranga is a place where it holds the highest number of greater one-horn rhino in the world, highest population. So yeah, with that, first we initiate with the central India's highlands. And the central India's highlands is mostly of the two old mountain ranges, which is the Vindhya and Satpura. And it has over here, let me tell you, just the mountain I have kept. There are many mountains and ridges out here, but this is Vindhya and this part is central India. So just look into this area. This is Vindhya range and this is Maikal and this is the Satpura. You can remember only this three because that's how the formation you would come across. I mean, you would get to see. So Maikal range is mostly associated with Kanha. In Kanha, whatever highlands and mountains you get to see, and though we would be mostly covering the lowland areas, but this part has a lot to do with the landscape, with the formation of the national park. And the Satpura, when it comes to the down, it's more like a lot of ridges, rolling mountains, and you have the forest patches which comes down to Bandhavgarh National Park. So these are the two areas where you see here. This all together are called the highlands of central India. So yeah, we have a mixed landscape, the topography. And though India has a lot of things, like it is filled with, I mean, it's a biodiversity, of course, hotspot area, and has different types of landscape. So this central India highlands is one of the important one. And central India is like considered to be the heart of India's wildlife as well. And it is a home to some India's largest forest tracts. Rich in wildlife, as well as I already told, that indigenous people are there. It says that there are near about 17 indigenous tribes who have been living in this zone, in this area. And the landscape developed in the highlands between this Vindhya, Satpura and Maikal range. And it has, over this area, it has one river, which is Narmada. It's a, not a, I mean, it's a rain-fed river, seasonal, but it's so huge that it's almost like the water remain all around the year. And it is like the life source for not only for the forest or the animals, but for the people of central India. And central India is almost this whole central India part, which actually brings 3 states all together and covers near about approx 41,000 square kilometer, which is forest cover. And so you can imagine that it's a big area with too many natural corridors are there and promising areas for the animal migration and also very important for their habitat. And so Kanha and Bandhavgarh, these are the 2 national parks we cover in central India. And this 2 forests have 3 types of main 3 types of forest, which is the most the moist peninsular sal forest. So sal is a tree which goes really long and I mean tall, and it's mostly like single stem tree, and it just stands out into the forest and make that canopy. You can see here, these are the patch of sal forest, and the canopy looks like this from where your vehicle or your jeep passes through. So here is the place that how your jeep passes through, and these are the sal forest. And central India is a part where there is a mixture of 2 huge vegetation, and which is the northern part of the sal forest, which is there, and the southern part of teak forest, which is another hardwood like timber tree. And these are the area where it mixed together. So you can imagine the landscape or the topography of that area and the richness of the soil as well. And it has, in between, it has a lot of clear streams with clean water, which is like sustaining the whole wildlife in these national park areas. And then it has the southern tropical moist deciduous forest, and also it has the dry deciduous mixed forest. So just just broaden your view and imagine in that particular areas when we have different types of forest, including grasslands, water bodies. So that makes it pretty rich, and that's the reason why there are abundance of wildlife. And there are different types of tree you would come across. I'm just highlighting few of them. One is the sal, another one is mahua. Central India is very like it's known for this particular plant, this mahua, which is a fruiting tree. And this mahua is also like made the local the flower. From that flower, the juice of the flower, I mean, people make local liquor, which is really tasty. If you are signing up, if you are coming to this Grand India trip, definitely try this out. This is really good, and we do a lot of cocktails out of that, and that's really pretty exciting. And this mahua is more like the marulas. I mean, it's close to the, not the species wise, but the story wise, that how animals behave after having a lot of marulas. The mahua, there are stories that when you are having like too much amount of mahua flowers, the animals also get a little, intoxicated. So those are the thing. And this is the tendu, or this Indian cigar. Okay, that's is something mostly the rural area people use that one. And this, from this tree the leaves come from, and Madhya Pradesh, which is central India, gets the highest amount of revenue from this tree by like collecting those leaves to make that Indian cigar. And then you have different like varieties of fig trees. And of course, the fig trees are fruiting trees, so there would be a lot of birds, squirrels, and other, and like langurs, and langurs means few primates, which feeds on those figs. And that's the reason. And even there would be deer around the fig trees, from where they feed on those leaves and the fruits which are fallen from the tree. So yes, and after that, it has like both the national parks have many water bodies, and it has, because of the mixed vegetations and water bodies, if you look out for animals in these areas, or you just wait near the water bodies, you will definitely see some of the movement in those areas, because water is another very necessity things for all the animals, like birds or reptiles. I mean, that's the place we all look for, especially in summers. We sometimes wait near the water body, because in the for the predators, either it's a leopard or a tiger, which comes to drink water or just to sit in the water to cool themselves off. And the landscape, when we talk about Bandhavgarh or Kanha, the landscape is so stunning that you can just wait there for hours, because everyone is running behind the animals, or just to take the glimpse of the tigers. So I always feel, or rather we always think like that once you have spotted the wildlife, or you got to see the tigers, and we cross this two national parks where there are chances of seeing tiger, is good. I won't say it's very high, because sometimes it happens that you don't get to see tigers in all the safaris, but at least one or two you get to see. But if you have already spotted it, so these are the areas where you can just chill and relax, and this everything around you resonates, the tranquility of that place. And enjoying that sight itself, the landscape itself is a big thing, because it is so quiet in the morning, and there is nothing, only you get to hear the chirping of the birds, or somewhere the deer would be calling, or you get to hear the wild boar like snogging around, or something is moving in the water, so you get those splashing sound. Even a tiny frog is moving, you can hear that. It's such a quiet place to be in the forest. You know, all these gypsies and all, they're rushing around, but these are the few areas where you feel amazing with this landscape. And Bandhavgarh has a lot of table, like flat lands, like plateaus, and it has, the Bandhavgarh is also famous for its fort. Once you see, that's a very prominent place. So in the Tala zone, whenever you visit, way or the other, the tracks moved around that plateau area, where there is a fort. And so in these areas there are like a lot of and they have this rich ecosystem, you know, the mixed forest, the sal, the bamboo forest, and the mixed bamboo forest with different semi-evergreen trees, and it has huge grasslands, and then water bodies you have seen, and there are a lot of climbers, forbs, and scrubs as well. You know this, and due to high humidity, and due to high humidity, even there are many semi-aquatic and aquatic plants, which are like the main source of food for the deer called hard brown barasingha. I'll just come in few minutes. And also there are a lot of water birds you get to see, and during winter you get to see a lot of migratory birds moving around those water body areas. And in and around these water bodies, if you see some, there would be a lot of dead trees or logs fallen apart, and in winter you might get to see some turtles basking on top of those logs. And these are the tracks which you follow, and on the right hand side in this area, these are the grassland or the meadows, which is a very promising place to see a lot of activities. Not only the deer or the wild boar, but some beautiful hunting takes place, because if you see, this is the forest patch and this is the grassland and there is another forest patch. So this is like a transition area for the other animals, as well as the predator ambush themselves behind these bushes so that they can launch on their prey. And this is how beautiful these are just mobile pictures, and this forest looks beautiful, especially when the sun rays fall through those sal trees. This dapple light, I think, put a lot of drama, and it looks magical. And these are the forest patches where you get to see a lot of uh, bigger animals, and even some canids as well. So grassland is mostly, you would get to see a lot of deer out there, and different species of deer you will get to see. These are the hard brown barasingha, which you only get in Kanha National Park. And right now they are doing some translocation to the similar habitat in central India. But right now for the tourist, this is the only place in the world where you get to see this hard brown barasingha. And also in Kanha zone, you in the grassland or in the meadows, you get to see this black antelope, this black buck. How beautiful this antelope looks! Just see it, that beautiful round patch around the eye, and this twirling horn. It adds a lot of character to this particular antelope, and they live in a very small group. So now, when you enter, what you can expect to look for and where to look for. The first, I would like to bring this northern plain gray langur, which is one of my favorite, not only as the primate, but they are the most entertaining animal in these forest patches. looking at them, looking at their behavior, understanding their hierarchies or the child acts where the infants keep on playing with their group. It's like a kindergarten school you get to see, and a lot more. So even if you are stopping by just near the higher trees and stuff, you will get to see them, because of course from there they keep and watch for the predators, and from that top of the tree only they start giving alarm call if they spot one from above. So yes, staying near around the langur, it's really not only fun, but it also raises your expectations or your things to see the predator around, because they can see a lot more than what we see from the ground. And then in the grassland, you'll get to come across this beautiful white dots on the far coat is the spotted deer. Of course, it's no, I mean, we know that why is it called, but this is the deer which you can spot easily as well. And this is a female. The male has antlers. And yeah, this one and the langur, they kind of sometimes stay together because those langurs are very messy eaters. So they're from the top of the tree, when the leaves fall off, or they just throw the bunch of leaves or fruits, these are the deer which feeds on those fresh leaves and fruits down there. So and both of them give distress call when they can feel a predator. Either they see it, or by their sense of smelling, they see it, they give alarm calls. And that's why there is a BBC documentary known as The Spy of the Jungle. If possible, just watch it. You will understand their characteristic in the forest and their importance in the forest. And then in the thick broadleaf forest, where there is the semi-evergreen forest, you will get to see another deer, which is the Asia's largest deer, is the sambar. This is also a female, and they are solitary. Mostly you will come across few together when there is a female or young male, or other like young, only the mother and the fawns, they kind of stay together. The male are very solitary. And this sambar call, let me tell you, if you during the safari, if you get to hear a sambar alarm call, don't wait, just need to rush. I mean, definitely we are there to give you the instances, which is the call and how does it sound, but this is the time, even if you feel that okay, there is something is happening or all, but if you get to hear this call, rather we specially run towards that, because a sambar, most of the time when they see the predator, then they give a call. Because for the spotted deer or the langur, sometimes they get scared and they can give distress call. So sometimes it is very confusing. But when a sambar calls, it is almost, we take it very like promising that the tiger or the leopard is moving around. That's the reason why it's calling. And sometimes, you know what, the stupid deer, they sometimes follow the predator, that where is it going. So it keeps on giving alarm calls to let the other group know that okay, the predator is moving. Can you imagine that? Risking its own life. And then we have the gaur. Imagine in this thick forest, even the gaur is behind the bush, it's sometimes difficult to see it. But when it comes close to you, it's better to be very still, and you have to look for the darker patch, dark coat, especially in winter. The darker coat, if you get to see, just wait there for a while. So they would be mostly moving around the grassland area where the new grass has come, and also near this this forest, these semi-evergreen forest or the deciduous forest, you will get to see a single one, especially the male, if you get to see, or you would get to see the herd, which could be in number like 14 to 20 in number in one herd, you can get to see. So in those areas you'll get to see this huge, the largest in the bovidian family. It's called the Indian gaur. So they have 3 subspecies. The Indian one is called the Indian gaur. For the reptile, especially during winter, when during the tracks, where the tracks are moving, if you get to see some bushy areas, not exactly into the grassland, but where there's a transition areas are there, where you see some little small shrubs and bushes, or just beside the track, you might come across this one of the largest python, which is the this rock python. They grow really big, and if you get to see them, because in winter it's little easier, because they come out for basking in open areas. Sometimes you may find it on the road, because early in the morning, because the road is still releasing the heat. So for that, they come on the roadside or on the road. So yes, you may come across this in these areas. Oh, sometimes of course you see into them clinging onto the small bushes, or small trees as well. They might climb to get to get some birds from the bird's nest and stuff, or sometimes different basking places. And there is another interesting animal, which is a sloth bear. So this sloth bear you will find near the forest patches. Not hardly you would come across them in the grassland, but they would be more in the forest patches, because in the forest patches, Kanha and Bandhavgarh, both the national parks have huge termite mounds, and these termites are one of their staple food to get the amount of protein they needed. So if you see some scavenged or disturbed termite mounds, you can look around in this forest patches, or to in around the shrubs, to see the presence of the sloth bear. And you might come across some footprints as well. So if you follow, if it is very fresh, if you follow the footprints into those patches or behind the trees, you might come across this. And they are very shy, mostly they are very shy, and if you just out of a glimpse, they run away from there. And they are the only bear in the world which piggyback their cubs. So if you get to see one with the cubs, I think that's like the prize you get in this forest. And they are very rare. Even you get to see a tiger, but it's difficult to see a sloth bear as well as leopard as well for this patch of forest. And yes, over there we have the Indian dhole, which is the Indian wild dog. Especially we can expect it to see in Kanha. Again, there are chances to see it near the rocky areas, the hilly terrain which we have in Kanha, as well as where there is just in between the grassland and the forest. So they would be on that marginal area. So if you see some dog-like thing running around with a black bushy tail, you know that's a wild dog. Even if it's for a glimpse, at least you know that these are the places to look for this one. And it's very unfortunate that we are losing the numbers because of habitat loss, and especially for the wild dogs, they hunt in packs. And now due to the decrease in number, the pack number is reducing. Mostly we come across 2 or 3 maximum. So what happens during the pack is, when the promising female gives birth, she leaves she leaves the pups with other female who takes care of the pup, and they go out for hunting. But right now they have to leave the pups alone without any surveillance, and they need to go out, because of course they need to feed a lot of mouth as well as themselves. And when they're coming back, sometimes a lot of other predator, which is killing the pups, because they know that when they will grow up, it will be a challenge for them to face it. So yeah, this kind of thing is happening. So if you get to see a wild dog again, like the sloth bear, it would be a big tick mark for your trip. And then we have, though it's not a very good picture, but this has been taken during summer. So summer, it's mostly like brown. From November to March, it's more green and different shades of color you get to see in the forest, because this forest together have more than 1,000 species of flowering plants and trees. And also the transition of the season brings a lot of different colors in the leaves. So of course during that time, but in summer, the more you are coming towards summer, it would be more brownish and a little dull. So the animal has to camouflage, so they lose their winter coat and they become more lighter to get well camouflaged with the surroundings. So yeah, this is a golden jackal. Always their movement and their way of communicating is more silent. It's more like a thief in the forest, because they are so opportunistic hunter or opportunistic canids or the animal in the forest, that it can actually take a chunk of meat from a tiger kill and run away from there. They have that capacity as well. So their movement and all is always very curious. Looking at their walking style or the temperament in the forest, you can actually know that something is happening around. We have actually witnessed it. This we have seen two jackals, and they were not leaving the main track. I mean, generally what they do when the gypsy is coming, when the vehicle is coming, they move into that, the grassland or into the forest patch. But those two were not going out of the track, and they were looking like stopping, looking around, sniffing. You can look through your binoculars that the nose is, the holes are like they're like what do I say, the nose, the nostrils were changing, shifting the size. And then after almost 15 minutes we have been tracking these two jackals, and then we got to hear some alarm calls, and then from the meadow the tiger came out. So imagine 15 minutes. So the 15 minutes, the tiger must be there somewhere like far, and this too could feel it and could sense it, that the predator is around. And looking at them for 15 minutes, we were lucky enough to witness the tiger. And it's not only seeing the tiger, this whole process of tracking and sensing this thing in the forest is just outstanding. I mean, there are so much stories happening in front of you. That's incredible to realize or to witness that. And then another elusive cat in this two forest is the Indian leopard. It's very, very difficult, and it's very rare to come across a leopard in this part of the forest, because once is the forest is pretty thick, and they are so well camouflaged, and they hide themselves because of the presence of the tiger. Where there is so much of tiger movements, they don't move much, or they always very secretively move so that they don't fall in the same path with a tiger. So yeah, if you come across a leopard, just consider yourself very, very lucky to spot it. And then, of course, for which Central India is famous for, rather it's a very promising, even for WWF also, it's a very promising place to work in this landscape for this tiger project, because it says that this Central India part is, to increase the tiger population or to rule the tiger projects, it's a potential area for them. So of course, while you are coming to this trip in Grand India, expectations and hope of course leaned towards this beautiful, majestic cat. And hopefully we would come across one at least in the entire safari time. So for tiger, there is no barrier. It can be anywhere around the forest. Anywhere means anywhere. Any bamboo thicket area, grassland, meadows, mixed forest, or this panel of this hilly terrain behind the termite mounds. So the tiger can comes out. It's rule the forest, of course, and it can be anywhere. See, these are the sal patch in summer, and you see the stripes is moving in between. And of course, this is the transition area where there is the mixed patch of forest, and then you have the track, and then again the forest patch. So she is waiting here so that the vehicle can cross by and she can cross the road. She's a young tigress, but right now she's old enough. She's at her prime, and she has beautiful like two male cubs. They're sub adults now. This last season we got to see those two male cubs, and they are just like their mom, you know, fearless, bold. They don't mind sitting in front of the vehicle or just block the road. It was really amazing. She was exactly like that when she was young. And then with that, we have the mascot of Kanha National Park, which is the Barasingha. It is named because it has like 12 tines to its antler, 10 to 12 tines in its antler. So that's how it's got its name. So this is feeding on this aquatic vegetation. And yeah, so sometimes you will see them, the whole neck is underwater, and they are plucking this aquatic vegetation and feeding on it. And you see them on the grassland, especially. This is a grassland here. And on the safari, this is how the scenery looks like. You have small grass area in front. There is a huge meadow, and you are covered with the thick green forest of sal and mixed forest, of course. And this is the clear water body where you can come across a lot of water birds, turtles, and other reptiles as well, even the tiger, leopard, or sometimes sloth bear, so which come here to drink water, and many passerine birds you come across. These two areas have more than 300 species of birds you get to see in these two national parks. And see this vast, you know, lakes, which is promising, and they hold the water throughout the year. And you get to see a lot of stone structure, that rocky structures out here as well in Kanha and Bandhavgarh. Mostly in Kanha you will get to see these ridges of rocks. Good habitat for a lot of other like mongoose, rattle, pangolins. These are the one which you come across. But though mongoose you might come across, but for rattle or for pangolins, it's really difficult because they are nocturnal, and we all do all the safaris in the morning and the afternoon, so it's difficult to see them. But you never know, it's a forest. Anytime and anywhere you can come across these animals. Now, after the central India's highlands of central India and this mixed deciduous forest and this promising abundance of wildlife what you witness, we straight move towards the northeastern part of India, which is and to the Kaziranga National Park, which is situated in this huge Brahmaputra flood plain. It's a massive and spectacular riverine and fluvial, fluctuations. I mean, the forest is not only the forest, this whole Brahmaputra landscape or the valley is one of the eco-region of Northeast India. This whole Northeast India falls under the biodiversity hotspot area, and this is one of the eco-region. And this area, roughly spread up to 65,000 square kilometer, and it has a unique combination of habitat, like this is Brahmaputra out here, which is coming from the farther northern part, and it's coming here and India and even falling into Bangladesh and then draining itself into Bay of Bengal. And it's a perennial river because it's like born from the different types of glaciers together. And yeah, it's a huge floodplain it forms here. Just look at it, how much it's spread out. This is just only I think even 0.2% of the thing which you see in the picture, but it's huge. And it has the unique combination of habitat like sandbars, wet grassland, dry grasslands, scrubland, forest, and makes it this floodplain very rich. And it has this, you see this part of the area, and this is like Kaziranga National Park is chiefly constitute like the three major types, which has the alluvial area, alluvial land, which is alluvial grassland, which has tiny grasses, fresh grass, which would be close to the water body. And then it has the huge elephant grass. It is looking small, but it has huge, almost sometimes 16 to 19 feet tall. It can hide an elephant. And then it has the tropical wet evergreen forest, and which is thick, and the semi-evergreen forest, and together they are the dense tropical moist broadleaf forest. You can see the thickness of the forest of this national park, and it's so different, so unique from the Central India's park. Central India in Bandhavgarh and Kanha has a lot of uniqueness, but a lot of differences as well. But there are similarities between the landscape. But when it comes to Kaziranga, it is so thick, the vegetation, the grassland, and different types of vegetation and landscape. That's the reason why it is more like, you can actually witness the abundance and the wonder of nature in this part of the country. And so for the mixed vegetation and all this thing, let me give you an example. You get almost more than 650 species of birds in this national park area. So you can imagine that definitely more the types of vegetation, more the animals would definitely come there or migrate there to sustain their life. And this park holds the largest population of rhino, as I said. So here you see, there are the foothills of the Himalayas, not very tall, but these are there, which is and sometimes we actually the last to last safari, we go to this area where we cross to little hilly terrain, but not that high, of course. But then you see in the four zones, the landscape changes in this particular park. And you see this is the mixed evergreen forest, and there is the broadleaf forest is there. You have lot of rivulets, because this is a freshwater. Lot of rivulets are there, channels are there, which is keeping this land very fertile. And another thing, it's like the Nile, Kaziranga in Kaziranga face, or rather Assam face flood every year. Even this time the water level raised I'm sorry, the water level raised a lot. So every year this Brahmaputra floods and deposits a lot of fresh soil where the new vegetation comes in, and that's how the forest is thriving, which is unmatched to the other part of part of the forest, sorry, the other forest in other part of the country, not in the northeast. Northeast is more, as it's a biodiversity hotspot, it's more green on the side. So yeah, we have this Kaziranga Tiger Reserve, and this is how it looks like. This is from this time, the last, we did it in March, and this is how it looks like. So this is a little wetland which is dried out right now, but during January, February, you would see a lot of water and a lot of birds are there. And the picture is not that good, but if you see these white dots here are the bar-headed geese, like one of the highest flying bird in the world. They fly over Mount Everest. So here is how the grassland is. So there are different types of grassland, spearheads and stuff, and small grassland as well. So this is where we are waiting for the animal to cross the road. We just got some information, and here in Kaziranga, it's difficult to get to hear alarm calls because of the thick vegetation. But one very important thing for this Grand India trip, which I feel is, For central India, a lot of tiger spotting activities and stuff are there. We like give our full focus on how to spot this majestic cat along with other important animals around. But when we step to Kaziranga, it's better we just keep the tiger thing. This is one of the highest density of tiger is there in this park, but because of the vegetation and the thick forest, it's very difficult to spot one. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. So central India is more for the tigers and stuff, and Kaziranga is more for the bigger mammals like rhinos, elephants and stuff. So in the grassland, when we talk about grassland in Kaziranga, we find another grassland, a specific grassland deer is the hog deer, which looks like a spotted deer, but when they are young, they have the spots and then they become more this pale brown color. And the male has antler, of course. And with this hog deer, they are smaller. And these are the eastern swamp deer. The swamp deer, what we see in Kanha is the hard ground swamp deer, which is the Barasinga. This is Barasinga, but the eastern swamp deer. They are also, their population is also thriving back, which is like endangered species, which have been declared. And then we have the Samba here as well, the largest. Now, here you would understand even the Barasingas in Kaziranga are bigger in size than in central India. So these are the morphological and there are like characteristic differences. Even the hooves of this, they are subspecies, so even the hooves are different because they have to walk in a different terrain. So all these things are very crucial to look for the animals to understand it. And then the Samba, why I kept it over here as well, because if you see here near the throat, if you get to see a Samba in the northeastern side in the thick forest, broadleaf forest, you will see the far near the nape, this is the scent gland, is pretty much exposed because they move in much thicker forest. The scent has to reach out to other animals, and their mates. But in central India, the forest is not as thick as Kaziranga, so you won't notice this part in those sambar in central India, and they are much bigger in size. And this is a barking deer. They are very shy, they are very elusive. Even in central India, you get to see, but in Kaziranga, chances are a little higher to see the barking deer. They are very small, smaller than a hog deer, and they are solitary too. And the name came because when they feel threatened, they bark like a dog, and that's how it's got its name. And then you get to see the wild, like the Asiatic water buffalo. So just look at the horns. It's looking like this, but if you get to see them close, and there are few where it has been found the gap between the two horns are more than like 4.5 to 5 feet. So imagine the size of the horn and how heavy, and imagine the size of the water buffalo. And of course, the showstopper, the greater one-horned rhino, you get to see them in the forest, in the thick forest as well as in the grassland. And also, if there is a small puddle of water, you will get to see the rhinos in the water as well, just like this. So we don't have hippos, as I always say, but the rhinos don't, just make us feel proud to feel that we have rhinos who behaves like a hippo. You would see, especially during summer, you will see them mostly in water cooling themselves off. So yeah, and of course they share the same kind of vegetation. Here are the water buffalo, and this is the rhino. Sometimes you get to see the elephants together as well. This is a tusker, young male, and this is the flood plain looks like. This is the forest, the evergreen broadleaf forest, and this is the floodplain where there are very tiny grass, and you have water hyacinth, which is a very good vegetation for different species of animals, starting from deer to tiger to a lot of water birds. and of course these big mammals. As you see over there, here also in the big forest patches, you get to see the herd of elephants. So it's better to just stop and watch them, moving around. And here comes the tiger. You see the rhino here, and here is the orange head, which is the tiger. So this is how you see them. So once you are here in the safari, we will definitely, I mean, either it's me or any other EL, this tribes of the tiger says a lot about the characteristic of the tiger or the evolution of these tigers, because in different areas of India, if you get to see the tigers in different part of the forest, you will see the stripes and the shape and size of the tigers changes, especially the patterns on their body, the stripes. It says that exactly which genes or from which genetics it is carrying, or it's just moving, it's carry forward. So yeah, but it is a huge, I mean, itself, the stripes and the tiger evolution, it itself is a separate topic. So let me not come with that. So yeah, you might get to see the tiger like this. But let me tell you, last season, Kaziranga has wonderful sightings of tiger as well. And then from the broadleaf forest, you get to see this huge bird, which is the great hornbill. And this is the Bari red geese, which is the highest flying bird you get to see, but it mostly stays till the February end or the first week of March. After they fly back to the foothills, I mean, into the higher area for their breeding. So they do just the winter here in Kaziranga, and they comes in thousands. And this bird you would come across quite a few times, which is the gray-headed fish eagle. I sometimes I do mimic their call, and sometimes they respond and sometimes they just make fun of it. But still, I just feel happy while mimicking their call. And this is the capped langur. Nowadays, even it's very difficult to come across. They have a very beautiful, like light golden color, like tinge of fur they have, and you get to see them in the broadleaf forest, one of the primates. And in the broadleaf forest only, you come across another giant squirrel, the black-faced giant squirrel. And this particular one you will get to see on the fort, that where the hilly terrain I was talking about, in that part of the forest. You just keep looking above. I mean, in that area you have to like always look up. Sometimes you need a neck massage. For that, once we come back, we can do that. We have wonderful spas. I mean, amazing spas in the properties. So yeah, you can go ahead with that. But for all these animals, you have to look up for a pretty long time to look at their activity or just to spot them. And then the one and only primate in India, which is Hula gibbons. Again, it's a broadleaf forest ape, and their population is also in danger because of habitat loss. And they live in family, a family of 3 to 4, they can stick together. This is how they live in. And if there is no canopy in between, they would be restricted in that small patch as well. They cannot move ahead because if it is a 200-meter patch, they will stick to that. And due to habitat destruction, the canopies in between are missing. So they don't, and they 80% time of their life, I mean in their life, they remain in the tree tops. They don't come down on the ground unless and until it is very necessary or they have to cross something. So you can imagine the habitat loss is a huge challenge for them to thrive. And this is how you see them, not only on the vehicles, but you have to get down on the road at a particular time to look for them. And if you get to see them, It's amazing, and hearing them, it's more fun how they communicate between different families from different areas, because they live in the treetops, so they keep howling, and from maybe from few kilometers away another group of gibbons would reply, and this is how they communicate, especially in the morning after the sunrise. So yes, and then this is how the safari happens. You can see these grasslands, and there are some watchtowers are out here. And this is how this is of course, sometimes you get to see the rhinos like this, but mostly you would see them very open, like the other pictures I have shown you. It's not very hide and seek thing, but they sometimes they come really close. But yes, we have to be very still because it's thick bush, and suddenly if they come out, it's difficult. And of course, we do a boat safari as well for the Gangetic dolphin. And for the Gangetic dolphin, you have to have immense patience because they hardly come out of the water. But you can suddenly, if you're looking at some place and you suddenly hear a huge splash, so you turn back and you see only the ripple. But yeah, of course, you get a chance to see the dolphin. But it's fun, you know, because every time it's like, oh, there it is. Oh, there. Did you see that? Everything, this sort of thing happens, but it's very difficult to click a picture of this dolphin, and it is critically endangered species in the world, and it's a blind dolphin as well. Critically endangered, of course, because of overfishing in places, and the climate change, the changing of the course of the river, and of course the creation of all the dams in the man-made dams in the river is also, you know, hindering its population. So yes, this is how the entire things go, and where exactly you can look for all these animals when you visit to India or for Grand India safaris. That gives a lot of you know, happiness when we all search for the animals together. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry there is not much time left, but I'm ready to take a few questions.
Thank you so much, Arpita. We do have a bunch of questions, so let's try to run through these fairly quickly. Can you please repeat the name of the documentary you recommended?
It's BBC documentary called The Spy of the Jungle.
The Spy of the Jungle by BBC. Okay, excellent. And do spotted deer keep their spots for life?
Yes.
What this is like a speed round. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What time of year does the river in Kaziranga flood?
During monsoon. So this is the time when the flood is happening. So it's from July. From June, the park get closed because it's an early monsoon over there. From June to September, and the flood, and there is flash floods as well, happens in Kaziranga. So these 4 months is very crucial for this entire region. I mean, Assam, for this whole state. And the flash flood happens because sometimes China opens their gate without letting us know. So of course the water rushes in. So that's how we get flash floods, which is much more dangerous for the wildlife and the people who are residing in those Brahmaputra Valley area.
Right. The lovely photo of the gray sky and pink around the sun, is it caused by smoke or smog or moisture?
It's the morning. It's a winter morning, so it's all the moisture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got it. And is there much difference between pangolins in India and those in Africa?
Yes. So there are 8 species of pangolins. 4 are found in Africa, and 4 are found in Asia. And among those 4 in Asia, 2 types of pangolins are found in India. So there are 8 species of pangolins. Yeah. India has 2.
So that's the last question we have time for today. I'll hand it back to you for closing comments.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see some of you someday, so that we can, explore the forest with a different view or with a different eye to look around for the animals. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead, and have a great weekend ahead as well. And thank you so much, Sunny, for hosting it so nicely. You have been amazing all throughout, and have a great day too. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Arpita, and thank you for bringing us your unique perspective and inviting us to see things differently. You're so good at inviting us to imagine and really engage our senses, other than just filtering these words and tidbits through our mind. So thank you for doing that for us. We all need to get a little more curious and really experience things in a different way. So thank you. I also want to thank everybody who tuned in. Please join us again tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow's canceled. So please join us again next week for our next Daily Dose of Nature. You can check out next week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nadhab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, we'll conclude the webinar. Have a wonderful day, everyone.